Right, thank you for staying with us. The National Commissioner of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, has expressed serious concern about the alarming low compliance with data privacy laws in the public sector. According to him, the current level of data compliance in the public sector is unacceptable and stands at only 9%, despite increased awareness of the provisions of data compliance law in the country. The low level of data compliance is a major cause of concern among stakeholders. To this end, the Commission has taken steps to create awareness to ensure that all MDAs comply with the provisions of the law. The Commission is working to firm up the implementation of a standardized framework that will make it easier for public sector organizations to comply with the law. This framework will break down every part and section of the law into specific activities for the public to comprehend. Legal action will also be taken against any public sector sector that fails to comply with the provisions of the law. Well, joining us to shed more light on the subject matter is the National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your show.
Now, you have raised this concern that despite efforts made at creating awareness, we are still witnessing this low level of compliance, just 9%. What then perhaps could be the issue at the heart of this matter? Is it that people do not understand the necessity or the importance of this issue of compliance?
Thank you very much. I think you've already mentioned the main challenge here, in the sense that people don't really understand what it means to say your privacy has to be protected. And that is part of our work to ensure that we create awareness on the part of data subjects, that is you and I, and over 200 million Nigerians who are data subjects. And for them to know their rights and to know that whenever their data is being collected, they have the right to ask questions and seek clarifications from whoever is collecting their data to find out how such data is to be processed, how it's to be shared, how it's to be stored, for how long, if you are sharing with a third party or not. And also on the part of those who collect and process this data to ensure that they put in place appropriate measures for such data to be protected. Now, yes, ignorance is not an excuse in law. If we don't really create the awareness because of the low level of awareness in this country, definitely we'll still be telling the same story over and over again. We're happy that now we have a law in Nigeria signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, on the 12th of June 2023, and thereby positioning Nigeria as a major player in the global privacy and data protection ecosystem. In terms of reputation, the reputation of Nigeria has really gone up. People now see us as a country that is serious about digital business. Now, our own responsibility is to ensure that we create awareness for people to know what is right to do. And that is why we'll be going out to be meeting CEOs, ministers of MDAs, organizing workshops, awareness campaigns, and or we're available on social media platforms to create awareness for people to know what is right to do. Because if your rights are not protected, definitely anything can happen, and data breaches can have very serious consequences in terms of financial laws, in terms of health issues. Even in extreme cases, it can even lead to death. So it's really important for us to create awareness, to ensure that we increase the level of awareness. And as we speak, we are currently running a campaign in the news, the media, print media, electronic media, for all data controllers and processors in Nigeria to register with the Commission. This is according to Section 5D of the law that we have in Nigeria on data protection now. And we are really serious about this to ensure that we have a database of all data controllers and processors to monitor how they process data, and to ensure that they put in place appropriate measures to guarantee trust and confidence in their data processing activities and in the economy as a country.
Yeah, so It's quite good that you're moving about to ensure that you create more awareness for people. But what is this awareness really about? Like, how should I know, or what ways, or what are the things do I need to know as a data subject to be able to ensure that my right is protected when it comes to collecting information from me, and the data controller, those who process, what do we call them, data controllers, and the kind of processes they go about doing that? What are the things are they supposed to also put in place? Because sometimes you find yourself being contacted by some of the organizations or some institutions to whom you never supplied your data, and you'll be wondering, how did they get my data?
Yeah, as I said before, as a data subject, you have some basic rights which are non-negotiable, and you have the right to exercise these rights. One, if anybody is collecting your data, your right to be informed. That is the purpose of that collection. What do they want to use such data they want to collect for? And if it is okay by you to give you your data based on information, because you have been informed, then you can release your data to them. Now, the right of rectification, that is, if there is any of your data that is inaccurate in their database, you have the right to approach them to, oh, this data is not correct, kindly correct my data. And a lot of people have been having issues with it, but because they didn't know their right, they couldn't really press charges against such organizations. Right of erasure, now you are keeping my data, I don't want to do any business with you, please remove my data from the database. That is the right. Right to portability, that is, you're able to move your data. At the time in Nigeria, among the telcos, it was a common norm here that was, oh, I don't port, I want to port and stuff like that. Right, that you can move your data from one data processor or controller to another one. Right of refusal of profiling, that is, for any marketing organization or data to profile. These are your rights which you can exercise. I'll be doing a lot to push information out for data subject to be able to understand this right. And more importantly, when you go online, in most cases, people don't read terms of engagements or privacy policies that will state what data controllers and data what they do, and the kind of service they render, the kind of data they're collecting from you, how they process the data, their physical addresses or their contact persons. People don't read this. All they just read is just accept and move on. But some people, a lot of people, in fact, it happens to me too, the kind of the privacy policy they give out is too lengthy that before you even finish reading, you are bored, you want to just click and move. So what we are trying to encourage data controllers and presidents to do now is to have their privacy statement, which is very simple, straightforward for anybody to read and understand. Then if you now want to know more about the privacy policy, you now go on to read more. But there should be a statement to cover what they are doing and how they are collecting your data. This is part of what a way of informing you about your rights, so to either to refuse for data to be processed or to accept. Now, on that part of data controllers, we have what we call technical and organizational measures. That is, in terms of technologies, what kind of technology they want to put in place in terms of their antivirus, in terms of firewall, what they need to put in place to ensure that they protect your data with them to prevent unauthorized access to your data. Because if your data is accessed in an unauthorized way, it can be used for any means. If people can even steal your identity, to do a lot of things, I'm representing you, whereas you did not give them that power to do so. Now, in terms of organizational measures, that is the kind of measures that they have put in place for their data processing activities and their data processing officials. Do they even understand what data privacy is all about? And what kind of laws, what kind of privacy policy, what kind of data governance structure do they have within the organizations? All these are things that the other staff even need to know. And they also need to create awareness within the organization that everybody within such organizations should be able to know that, oh, there are some things that we can't do. For instance, you just walk into a bank, maybe after your transaction, maybe you are collecting your ATM or you want to issue bank drafts or whatever. The next thing they give you is a notebook containing the names, telephone numbers, signatures, and even addresses of some people. Anybody can just get their snap and start calling people to say, oh, you have account at so bank, your account number is this, we want you to do A, B, C, D. Or even you open accounts on banks at times. The following day, somebody is calling you from the bank to say, oh, you came to our bank yesterday, you opened an account, we are sending this code to you, please, when you receive the code, do A, B, C, D. And with that, they have access, unauthorized access to your account. And they start withdrawing your money. These are things, or you go to your hospital, maybe in the process of inputting your data, they did wrong, they input wrong information for you. By the time they are giving you a medication, they are giving you a wrong medication. I've seen people that this actually affected. I know one guy that actually lost one eye because of wrong information that led to wrong medications given to him, or administering wrong medications on him, or some of the digital lending companies. As Riley mentioned, that you didn't give your information to some people, they start calling you or sending information to you. Though we met also, or this fellow took a loan from us, or this fellow is a criminal, because the fellow maybe took a loan from them and defaulting once or twice. We are not saying if you took a loan that you should not pay. But if you default once or twice, there should be a mechanism of following up with you, not having unauthorized access to people, to your phone contacts, and they start circulating messages about you, that this fellow is a criminal, don't do any business with him. All these are things that are against your right as a data subject. And that's why we are saying they should put in place. And what we have actually done in Nigeria, we have deployed a PPP model, which is very unique to us as a country, and a lot of countries are beginning to copy what we've done. Because it's clear that the level of awareness, as we mentioned before, is very low in this country. And in terms of expertise, that is also low. So what we'll be doing, we'll be licensing data protection compliance organizations. That is, these are experts in this field that will go to different companies to let them know about the need for data privacy, take them through compliance, and file their annual report with us. One thing that has actually come out of this is the ability for this sector to create jobs. Because an average DPCO will employ between 5 and 10 people. And we have licensed about 163 of them, and the number is still counting. And what the law even says again now, for us to be able to increase the level of awareness and compliance, is for an average data processor or controller must designate a DPO, a data protection officer. Now, the question we keep asking ourselves is, do we have the people in Nigeria to serve as data protection officers? Yes, we do. The next question is, do we have the skills to be able to practice as a data protection officer? The answer to that is no. Whereas we have identified about 500,000 data controllers and processors that must designate DPOs. Whereas those of us that qualify as DPOs in Nigeria, we are not up to 10,000, leaving a gap of about 490,000 jobs waiting for people to grab. How do we now address this will be the next question. And that is why, apart from awareness, capacity building is the next thing that is top on our agenda, to build a globally competitive pool of data protection experts in Nigeria that can work in Nigeria and work in other countries. Because the skill you acquire is the same thing. All you don't need to do is to adapt to the local laws in such countries. So that's what we are trying to do now, to ensure that we build capacity of data protection experts in Nigeria that can work here, and also help us address the low level of awareness and compliance that we are currently experiencing in the country.
I like the fact that you ask the question and you answer them yourself. It's quite interesting because these are critical issues that people need to understand with regards to data privacy. But there is something that was mentioned earlier while we're introducing this conversation, and that has to do with legal action that will be taken against public sectors or organizations that do not comply with all of this being put in place. Could you expatiate on that?
Yeah, it's not only public sector organizations. They are both public and private sector organizations. That is, if you're a data controller, if you're a data processor in the country, and you don't comply with the provisions of the law, there are sanctions in the law. Section 5D of the law says that all data controller and processor must register with us. And when it gets to part 10 of the law, these are provisions for sanctions, for penalties. For instance, if the data breach in any organization, we look at the nature and type of data breach. We look at the impact on the data subject. That is you and I who have a data with our data controllers. We look at the number of data subjects that this data breach has affected. And we look at the compliance level of such organization. Nobody is above mistakes. And mistakes can happen anywhere. And if you discover that such a company or a data controller or processor has not been filing the annual report with us, because what the law says is that on an annual basis, as a data controller, as a data processor, you must comply with the law by filing your annual compliance report with the Nigeria Data Protection Commission. If you have been filing and discover that it was a mistake, the penalty, we look at it very well, look at the merit of the case before we can issue penalty, because the law actually allows us to issue penalties. Now, if it's due to negligence, and we discover that you will not be compliant with the law at all, and you have never filed your annual report with us, for instance, the penalty can range from as low as 10 million naira to as high as 2% of your gross earning for the previous year. For instance, if your company, as a data controller or data processor, you earn 100 billion in 2023, and it's a data breach this year, we can fine you up to 2 billion, which is 2% of that 100 billion. And you have to pay to government, because that is the law. And I'm sure you must have heard about various fines that have been issued all over the world. For instance, last year, Meta was issued a fine of 1.3 billion euro in Europe. Microsoft was issued a fine of $20 million in the US by FTC. And British Airways had been fined before, Marriott had been fined before, Google, WhatsApp, all of them have been fined before. So any data control, either you are an indigenous company or a multinational coming to Nigeria to do business, you must comply with the provision. And if there is any breach, definitely will come against you, and we will apply the full strength of the law. So, and that is why awareness is high on the agenda, that we need to create, and let people know what is right to do. Because it has to do with our integrity as a country. Mr. President is going around the world to attract foreign direct investment to Nigeria. Any economy, any country, without a law in the area of data privacy and protection, and without an independent data protection authority, no country, no multinational wants to do business with you. And Mr. President has put in place this law for Nigeria, and Mr. President has put in place the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, where you can run to for recourse in case of any breach of your data. So the whole world is looking at us as a country that is serious in terms of digital business, because what we are talking about is your digital identity. All of us go online to interact, to do one thing or the other. And the moment you do this, the moment you click, the moment you go on the internet, you are leaving your digital footprint, which is your identity, whatever can be used to identify you as a natural person. And when you leave that there, the onus is now on those who are collecting your data or processing to ensure that they protect such information and data that you have given out. Right. And that is why we need to work with all stakeholders to ensure that we take this message to everywhere, even to schools. For instance, during Privacy Week, part of our activities every year is to go to schools, secondary schools. This year, we just finished one last month. We went to universities, over 60 universities in Nigeria, to create awareness for so many reasons. One, for students to know their rights, and two, for them to know that the era of coming out to university and looking for jobs is over. There are jobs that are available for you. You can become an employer of labor. For instance, if you are a certified data protection officer, or you have a company that is registered as a DPCO, you earn money and even employ people. That is one thing that is coming out of this ecosystem, and that we need to take this message to everybody, even as a retired person. I have some of my colleagues that retired from NIDA. They are now licensed DPCOs. Instead of retiring and just not doing anything, they are even employing people now.
That's right.
So a lot of things that can come out from this ecosystem.
That's right. So it's very good to have legal framework in place, the policies and all of that, and ensuring that all foreign organizations and even local organizations are doing so well. So you're ensuring that they maintain and protect the privacy of Nigerians. But are there situations where we have some of these institutions or companies breaching the legal framework of the data protection of your own agency, where they have been, the sanctions have been meted out on them?
Yes, absolutely. Between when we started and now, we've received over 1,000 cases of breaches. But now, you now look at the merit of the cases. For instance, husband and wife, they are used between both of them. They report to you. These are private things. As long as it doesn't affect the privacy of the data subjects, we'll try to see how we can work it out. But there are some that we have actually investigated in the financial sector, in the gaming and lottery sector, consulting, even schools that we have investigated. There are some cases that we have even concluded. We have concluded about 11 cases, and we have actually issued, we call it remediation fee in this case, because our own approach, we are not talking about, it's not the money that is really important to us. Yes, money is good, but it's not the money that is really, but we want to build a culture of compliance in Nigeria, whereby an average data controller or operator will know that it is part of what I should do to ensure that I protect the information of anybody, any data subject with me. It is a culture, something that you say, oh, I have to do it. We are not looking at, we have to really run after you, carry the big stick and say, oh, we'll hit you if you don't comply. So for those breaches that we have investigated, we look at the impact on data subjects and in our economy as a country. And what we've done, we'll surely take them through compliance, we monitor them for 6 months, and we tell them to pay remediation fee. And between when we started and now, our remediation fee alone, we've brought in about over 500 million to government. Remediation fee, that's what we call it. And why we don't announce our fines is because of the reputational damage to such organizations. When we actually started, there was a bank that we investigated. Mere announcing that we're investigating that organization, a lot of their shareholders started withdrawing their shares, and a lot of their customers started withdrawing their money. So some of them came to us, if you go this route, most of us are going to lose their jobs. Do you want that? No. Because of the ease of doing business in the government and attracting investment, we need to encourage them. Unfortunately, and ensure that we just take them through compliance.
Right. We must thank you for your time on the program. Our time is up. Unfortunately, I believe so much has been said and a lot learned in the course of this conversation. National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.